For decades, millions remembered Kate Jackson as one of television's original Charlie's Angels. But when she reunited with Donny and Marie Osmond, it wasn't a dramatic confession or a Hollywood scandal that captured everyone's attention. Instead, at 77, Kate offered something far more revealing, a heartfelt look at the warmth, professionalism, and family values that made Donny and Marie unlike anyone else in show business. So what did one of television's biggest stars finally have to say about the brother and sister duo who helped define an era? Let's take a closer look at the remarkable conversation that reminded America why some legends never fade. When Kate Jackson walked onto the stage of Donny and Marie, the applause said everything before either host had spoken a word. By then, nearly 20 years had passed since Charlie's Angels first became one of television's defining hits, yet audiences still greeted Kate with the same affection that had made her a household name in the late 1970s. Donny Osmond immediately acknowledged that lasting legacy, introducing her by reminding viewers that people were still talking about Charlie's Angels 20 years later. Rather than treating her as a nostalgic guest from another era, he welcomed her as someone whose influence had never truly disappeared. It set the tone for a conversation built on admiration rather than promotion. Kate's response reflected the easy chemistry that made the interview memorable. She laughed, accepted the compliment with humility, and even joked about the sparkling outfit she was wearing, explaining that she had bought it for herself after hosting Saturday Night Live. She wanted something that would catch the stage lights, a small story that immediately made the audience feel as though they were listening to an old friend instead of a Hollywood icon. The exchange never felt rehearsed. Instead, it unfolded naturally, with Donny and Marie allowing Kate's personality to shine instead of rushing from one prepared question to another. One of the most revealing moments came when Donny jokingly admitted that throughout their careers they had worked with every original Charlie's Angel except Kate. Pretending to hold a long-standing grudge, he teased, "We have a bone to pick with you." Kate instantly played along, replying that she would gladly come and work with them now. The lighthearted exchange captured something audiences had always appreciated about Donny and Marie themselves. Their interviews rarely relied on controversy or uncomfortable questions. Instead, they created an atmosphere where guests felt relaxed enough to laugh at themselves and revisit old memories with genuine warmth. That approach was no accident. By the time Kate appeared on the show, Donny and Marie had already earned a reputation for making television feel welcoming at a time when variety shows were built around music, comedy, and family entertainment. Unlike many celebrity interviews that searched for scandal or conflict, this conversation celebrated careers, friendships, and shared experiences in television. Kate wasn't there to settle old scores or reveal hidden Hollywood secrets. She was there because she genuinely enjoyed the company of the hosts, and that sincerity became obvious within minutes. The conversation also revealed another side of Donny Osmond that many fellow entertainers have mentioned over the years. Rather than trying to dominate the spotlight, he consistently shifted attention toward his guests, making them feel appreciated. Kate repeatedly smiled as Donny praised both her appearance and her career, and the respect flowed naturally in both directions. It is perhaps one reason so many performers, from television legends to music stars, spoke fondly of working with the Osmond siblings. To understand why Kate Jackson appeared so comfortable on the Donny and Marie stage, it helps to understand what made the show different from almost every other program on television. Premiering in January 1976 and running until May 1979, the ABC variety series arrived during one of the busiest eras for television entertainment. Audiences already had successful programs like The Sonny and Cher Show and The Captain and Tennille Show, yet Donny and Marie Osmond managed to carve out a unique identity. Their goal was never to shock viewers or chase the latest trends. Instead, they focused on creating an hour of music, comedy, celebrity guests, and family-friendly fun that people of every generation could enjoy together. Pop culture historian Don Smith later described the series using two memorable words: comfort food. According to Smith, watching Donny and Marie felt like ending a busy week with dessert on a Friday night. Families could sit together without worrying about inappropriate jokes or controversial topics. That image perfectly captured the atmosphere Donny and Marie worked hard to create. At a time when American pop culture was changing rapidly during the late 1970s, the Osmond siblings chose consistency over reinvention. Their wholesome personalities became the show's greatest strength, rather than a limitation. The timing of the series was also significant. Donny had already become one of America's biggest teen idols during the early 1970s, while the Osmond family had evolved from a clean-cut vocal group into a successful pop and rock act. However, by 1975, musical tastes had begun shifting. According to Don Smith, the band's earlier rock direction was no longer connecting with audiences as it once had. Rather than fighting those changes, Donny and Marie embraced a different opportunity. Television allowed them to showcase not only their singing abilities, but also their natural chemistry as siblings, something that records alone could never fully capture. Behind the scenes, that wholesome image was carefully protected. Comedy writer Bruce Vilanch, who joined the writing staff as Marie approached her 18th birthday, later revealed that producing the show often meant hearing the word no. Because of the Osmond family's strong Mormon beliefs, scripts were closely monitored. References to coffee could be rejected, disco-inspired visuals might be toned down, and jokes were expected to stay within boundaries that reflected the family's values. Vilanch admitted that those restrictions could be challenging, but he also respected how seriously the Osmonds treated their principles. As he explained, family, faith, and show business were never separate parts of their lives. They were completely intertwined. That philosophy extended to every episode. Produced by the legendary television teams Sid and Marty Krofft, the show featured colorful sets, elaborate musical numbers, comedy sketches, and an eclectic lineup of guests ranging from veteran entertainers like Milton Berle to younger television stars and emerging performers. The variety kept each episode fresh, but the emotional foundation never changed. Donny and Marie welcomed every guest with warmth, encouraged laughter without embarrassment, and made viewers feel like they had been invited into a family gathering rather than a television studio. Although viewers primarily associated Kate Jackson with the confidence and intelligence she displayed as Sabrina Duncan on Charlie's Angels, she surprised Donny and Marie by admitting that her first experiences in front of a television camera were nothing like that. Long before becoming one of the biggest television stars of the 1970s, Kate's professional acting career began on the gothic daytime soap Dark Shadows, which aired on ABC from 1966 to 1971. Looking back, she revealed that her earliest role was far less glamorous than most fans would have imagined. For approximately 6 weeks, she barely spoke a single word on screen because her character was a ghost. Rather than sounding disappointed, she laughed at the memory, explaining that the silent role may have been the best thing that could have happened to her. Kate confessed that she had only recently graduated from the American Academy of Dramatic Arts and was terrified of performing on television. "I couldn't speak," she admitted during the interview, not because she had forgotten her lines, but because she was overwhelmed by nerves. The confession stood in sharp contrast to the composed actress audiences had watched for years. It was a reminder that even performers who eventually become stars often begin their careers struggling with self-doubt. Fame had hidden those insecurities, but decades later, Kate had no hesitation in acknowledging them with complete honesty. When she finally did receive dialogue on Dark Shadows, another challenge appeared. The series was produced under an unusually demanding schedule. According to Kate, the show relied heavily on teleprompters while filming in a format often described as tape live. Because videotape technology at the time was expensive and time-consuming, stopping production was something everyone wanted to avoid. Kate explained that if filming had to be interrupted, the crew could wait up to 18 hours before they were able to continue recording. Under those conditions, actors had little choice but to recover from mistakes immediately and keep the performance moving. It was an environment that forced young performers to learn quickly under constant pressure. One of the most touching moments of the interview came when Donny and Marie surprised Kate by playing a vintage clip from Dark Shadows. Watching footage of herself from the late 1960s, she first laughed in disbelief before gradually recognizing the scene. She joked that it came from a time when I had just learned to read and had not ever gotten a gray hair in my head, turning what could have been an emotional trip down memory lane into a moment of self-deprecating humor. Instead of trying to present herself as a flawless television legend, Kate embraced the awkwardness of seeing her younger self on screen. That reaction revealed something that had quietly connected Kate Jackson with Donny and Marie throughout the interview. All three had experienced extraordinary fame while still relatively young, yet none of them approached their past with arrogance. There was no attempt to exaggerate achievements or rewrite history. As the interview moved toward its final minutes, many viewers probably expected Kate Jackson to continue reminiscing about Charlie's Angels or discussing her years in Hollywood. Instead, she gently shifted the conversation in an entirely different direction. After joking about seeing her younger self on screen and laughing about not having gray hair back then, she smoothly told Donny and Marie that there was something far more important she wanted to talk about. It was a revealing moment because, rather than using valuable national television time to promote herself, Kate chose to promote a cause she believed could change lives. Kate announced that she had become the national spokesperson for Reading is Fundamental, commonly known as RIF, the largest children's literacy nonprofit organization in the United States. Founded in 1966, the organization has spent decades providing books and reading resources to children, particularly those growing up in underserved communities. For Kate, literacy was more than an educational issue. She viewed it as an opportunity to expand a child's future, regardless of where that child was born or what circumstances they faced. She also explained that RIF had partnered with Just for Five Hair Color for a nationwide fundraising campaign. During a special event in New Jersey, the company donated $100 for every volunteer who participated in a promotional hair coloring activity. Beyond that event, Kate said the company had committed to donating 50 cents from every box of Just for Five Hair Color for women sold through the end of the year. Those contributions would help purchase books for children across the country, allowing thousands of young readers to gain access to materials they might otherwise never have owned. What made Kate's message especially memorable was that she never treated reading as simply another charity project. Instead, she spoke passionately about the way literacy could reshape a child's entire outlook on life. She described children who grow up believing the world ends at the fences or walls surrounding their neighborhoods because no one has ever shown them anything beyond those boundaries. Learning to read, she argued, gives those children access to places they may never have physically visited, introducing them to new ideas, different cultures, and possibilities they had never imagined. Her words carried far more emotion than the typical celebrity endorsement because they reflected genuine conviction rather than a prepared advertising script. Donny and Marie immediately recognized the importance of what she was saying. Instead of interrupting or steering the conversation back toward entertainment, they allowed Kate to finish her appeal without distraction. Donny responded by saying he was glad she had brought it up, acknowledging that helping children learn to read could truly change the world. That response reflected the same values that had defined Donny and Marie from the beginning. Although the show was designed to entertain, it also made room for conversations that encouraged kindness, generosity, and community involvement. Looking back today, Kate Jackson's appearance on Donny and Marie feels significant for a reason that has little to do with nostalgia. Despite the video's modern title suggesting that she had finally spoken up about Donny and Marie, what she actually revealed was something quieter and arguably more meaningful. There was no hidden feud, no backstage controversy, and no shocking Hollywood secret waiting to be uncovered. Instead, Kate unintentionally confirmed the reputation Donny and Marie Osmond had spent decades building, one based on kindness, professionalism, and making every guest feel genuinely valued. That impression is supported by people who studied the show's legacy as well as those who worked on it. Pop culture historian Don Smith described Donny and Marie as television's comfort food, a program that existed to make families happy during an era of rapid cultural change. Bruce Vilanch, who wrote for the series, acknowledged that strict creative boundaries sometimes frustrated the writing staff, but he also admired the consistency of the Osmonds' values. Their faith, family life, and entertainment careers were never separate identities. They remained committed to the same principles whether they were on stage, behind the scenes, or interacting with guests. Kate's relaxed conversation with them illustrated exactly what both men had described years later. The respect Donny earned extended far beyond television. Throughout his career, fellow entertainers repeatedly spoke about his character as much as his talent. One of the most striking examples came from Michael Jackson, who shared an unusually close friendship with Donny because their lives had followed remarkably similar paths. Both were born in 1957. Both became famous as children. Both performed with musical families of 9 siblings. And both understood the pressures of growing up in the public eye. Donny later revealed that Michael once told him, "You're the only person on this planet that knows what my childhood was like." It was an extraordinary statement coming from one of the world's biggest superstars and reflected a level of trust built on shared experience. That same friendship also produced one of the toughest conversations Donny ever had. Around 1983, shortly after Thriller transformed Michael Jackson into a global phenomenon, Donny asked him how he could revive his own music career. Michael answered with brutal honesty, telling him that the name Donny Osmond had become a disadvantage and suggesting he change it entirely. Donny admitted that hearing those words was painful, but years later he acknowledged that Michael had been right. When his 1988 single Soldier of Love began receiving airplay in 1989, many radio stations intentionally played the song without announcing the artist's name because they feared listeners would dismiss it based solely on Donny's image. Only after the record became a hit did audiences discover who had actually recorded it. Donny later said the stations had unknowingly done him a favor. As the years have passed, Kate Jackson's memories haven't uncovered hidden scandals or long-buried Hollywood drama. Instead, they have painted a picture of 2 entertainers whose kindness, professionalism, and family values left a lasting impression on everyone around them. Perhaps that's why Donny and Marie remain so fondly remembered decades later. What do you think was the secret behind their enduring success? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more classic Hollywood stories and unforgettable television memories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.